Welcome back to the channel, guys, and in today's video we're going to be getting the Corvette ready for Road Atlanta. So I definitely don't make enough videos or post enough content with the Corvette, and I'm kind of mad at myself for that. I have filmed a bunch of track days. Last year I went to VIR, I also went to Road Atlanta earlier in the year, and I did a couple posts like on Instagram and a couple things like that, but not really a whole lot of content on this car. I don't know, for some reason it just hasn't really worked out. Whenever I've gone out, I'm just not happy with what I've done, with the way the footage has come. So honestly, it's kind of hard to make a good track video because like from the in-car, you don't really get a good sense of like how exciting it is and the speed that it is and stuff like that. And this car is very smooth, so I guess it adds to that as well. But I am gonna try to change that. I'm gonna get the car ready for Road Atlanta, like I said. In the agenda for today, we have brakes. These pads, although you see a little bit of meat there, I'll show you guys later, that is a tiny amount of material left on those pads, the rear ones as well. I have to put the stage 3 little spats here. I have to do an oil change. I probably won't bore you guys with everything that I'm going to do, but the main thing of the video is going to be the seats. Okay, before we get into the seats, I just want to show you guys how thick these AP Racing caliper pads are. So these are 1 mil thick total. I think this is like 18 millimeters total of pad material, something like that, or maybe 20. Anyways, but this is like next to the rear pads, which is more of a normal thickness kind of pad. So you can see that these things are just massive. And I've been thoroughly impressed with the AP Racing setup. Even though, if you guys go back to my video where I installed these and I showed a comparison in between this brake pad and the stock brake pad pads are just monsters. These don't give up any performance, and as a matter of fact, they definitely feel way more consistent. Okay, but now the main thing, you may be thinking to yourself, what the hell is this guy doing with 2 chairs, a red one and a black one? So if you guys have caught on, I've mentioned this several times in some of my previous videos, mostly in the Evo and stuff like that, that I have 2 of these sparkler seats. Okay, I just put one in the Evo. Okay, and this is a really nice seat. It's a really nice looking seat. I got these seats actually for the gray Evo. One of these seats was installed when I got into that accident. Luckily the seat was okay. So after that I was like, well, you know what, let me try it on the Corvette. On the Corvette I have the competition seats, okay? And although these do have a little bit more bolstering here, there's definitely not a whole lot of bolstering there. And I'm definitely becoming more competent and more confident as a driver in the Corvette. So I think at some point, I was like, you know what, let me try a seat. So I put the seat in, and honestly, I was super happy with it. I have a really bad lower back, so I added some padding here to add like a little extra lumbar. And I use what I understand to be the most badass setup for the Corvettes, which is the AMT billet mounts. It was a bit of a chore to get this to sit how I need it. If you see, this has a lot of recline, okay? But that's how I feel comfortable. But these QRT seats have the mounts in such a way that it's just very tricky, okay? The mounts are this mount here is very high, so it makes it very tricky. So I had to get creative. This is not really how you're meant to use the brackets. I think this bracket is supposed to go back here and vice versa. But anyways, I was able to make that work. And I have this OMP, okay, harness, which the rest of the harness is still in the car. So, again, super happy with this. I'm not gonna say that I improved lap times, okay? But the biggest thing with me with this is that it just didn't match the car, okay? And I wasn't ready to make the leap and then get 2 of these and put them in there. I think my wife wouldn't be too happy if I put a race seat over there. Since this is the only nice car that I have. I figured, you know what? I really like the seat, I really like the setup. Why not get a red one? And I've been on the lookout for a red one. They do make it in red. I haven't really put it next to each other. There's a lot of shadow there, so I'm not really sure, but I've seen some pictures online, and I think this is gonna match really good. Now, if you kind of peeked over here, I do have a different base and I have sliders. The reason being, even though the AMT setup is super badass, and it's probably the lightest setup that you can get, it also sits you the lowest. This is absolutely, the bottom of the seat is absolutely on the floor of the car, okay? I don't really need to be that low, but that's good for really tall people. The problem is, man, it makes it so difficult to get in and out of the car. And then also on long drives, you know, all this bolstering, you have like nowhere to like rest your arm because, you know, I kind of sit too far forward. So I ended up kind of resting my arms here. I'm all kind of hunched over in there. And then, like I said, the main thing is to like get it in and out of the car. These cars have really long doors, man. So, you know, I can move the steering wheel up, but because the side bolster is so tall, I really need to be able to move the seat back. And then the other thing, this basically makes it, you know, extremely difficult for anybody else other than somebody exactly my size to be able to drive the car. Not that I let a lot of people drive my car, but I still like the possibility of being able to move back and forth, just a little bit more comfortable. I do drive the car on the street, you know, so it just makes it a little bit more comfortable to be able to, yeah, slide it around, you know, adjust it a little bit. And since I don't need to be that low, I'm 5'9", okay, I can give up a little bit of the height penalty going with this. I am not like maximizing the full potential of the car, so I don't really need to save every ounce of weight. So gaining a few pounds here, it, you know, to me it doesn't really mean anything. But the biggest thing is, like I said, that, you know, I'm starting to scuff the door. So getting in it out, well, actually I hadn't mentioned that. So this is the biggest thing that bothers me. So like getting in and out with that seat, I'm basically starting to damage the doors. This door, scuffing everywhere, just because it's just very hard. And then also when I have both cars in here, I have a lot of crap. I just have a lot of crap in here, guys. You know, I got kids, I got a wife and everything like that. But when both cars are here, it's just very difficult to get in and out of the car unless you leave a tiny amount of room. And my family just loves to, you know, walk through my garage. You know, for all my dads out there with car garages, you guys know how it is. Anyways, first things first is we gotta get this thing out, which in the Corvettes is kind of nice because we can actually remove this. All right, so here's a preliminary mock-up. I think the color is not dead nuts, but it looks really close. Really close. All right, so, you know, like I said, this is a preliminary mock-up. Now, guys, this does sit a lot higher than with the AMT mount, okay? This is a good 2 inches higher than the AMT mount, and it's actually slightly taller than stock as well. So I'm not 100% sure that I'm gonna end up running this. So, I mean, it's not bad for me, but I'm definitely a lot closer. Let me kind of mock it up and show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, so this is with the stock seat. This seat is as low as it can go. And I have like 2.5 fingers, call it. Maybe 1.5 inches of space here. Again, I'm 5'9". This is fully reclined and then all the way down. So this is as low as you can go on any kind of position. So now let me jump on that side. So here I definitely have less room, okay? I only have a tight 2 fingers, so I will call it maybe 1 inch, okay? And again, this seat is also as low as it can go. So definitely this is not really an option if you're 6 foot. You know, you're gonna be, your head is gonna be on the roof, and that's gonna be super uncomfortable. For me, I barely have enough clearance. So I do definitely like that, you know, I can slide it, although the slide is really far down. So it's definitely not ideal. Not ideal. I can see why people go and rave about the AMT. The AMT is really nice. So this will be my position. I mean, other than the steering wheel, this will be my position in normal driving. And I do clear everything. I do have a good amount of headroom here. Okay, so it's just really with the helmet that it looks to be an issue. All right, so I took the top back off so that we can see a true color comparison. So this definitely looks a little bit more richer, a little bit deeper red, okay? But it's also like kind of shiny. And that's just the way they were even for brand new, okay? This, I don't even know if it's leather or vinyl or whatever, but supposedly GM put some kind of coating on this, and this is like really, really matte. Like this is what, you know, leather actually supposed to look like, where that's a little bit more shiny. So anyways, you can kind of see that these are a bit more brighter, okay, than this, but it's like in the same color range. I would say that this is going a little bit more to like a, more like a, I don't want to say purple or maroon, okay, but it's kind of going towards that range of the red, slightly off, okay? So they're definitely not dead nuts, but you know, at a glance, you know, they look great. This looks super, super nice compared to having a black and a red, you know? So I'm very happy with that. You know, I'll take it, you know, other than custom upholstering this, you know what I mean? These look great. And now Alcantara looks a little weird with this red, you know, but I'll take it. What I am definitely not happy with is the new hardware. I think I'm gonna go back to the AMT, guys. You know, this thing is so much higher that there's so much lip here that even by moving this back, it's still super, super hard to get out of here. So I think I went around and around with this to ultimately come back to the fact that I already had the nicest hardware that you can use on this. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the AMT back, and I'm gonna move the seat like one notch back, just one slot back, and maybe that is gonna give me just as much more room. Other than that, I loved everything about the AMT. So I think I'm just gonna have to bite the bullet. This is just too high, man. It just sits you too high. I feel awkward, like I'm not that tall, and all of a sudden I'm just looking at this pillar. So, you know, so hey, you know, it is what it is. I'm glad I kind of, you know, tried it out. I'm not glad about the money. Hopefully I can return some of these parts. All right, so I thought this would be a well worth comparison. So as you can see, that setup is much, much higher. Now, granted, the planted seat does sit down a little bit, so there's about an inch, okay, that the red seat would go down a little bit, but still the difference is, I'm seeing about 3.5 inches, so call it 2.5 inches. So, you know, that's a lot of difference there. So unfortunately, I think I wasted a bunch of time and money trying this setup, and I'm going right back to this one. All right, so here's everything assembled with the hardware and everything. I did a little cheating here to get a little bit more height here. So I ended up having to use a little bit longer bolts so I can use the very, very bottom holes for this, okay? And then, you know, all this, so then I open up these holes. I'm gonna have to use, this is a 1 3/4 ring bolt, okay? And then the lap belt part will go on here with another lock washer and a lock nut, okay? And then on this side, let me try to spin this. I got everything assembled. So here's my ring bolt, same 1 3/4. Here's my 6-point harness piece. I did put the little cotter pin in there. Since this is gonna be buried, I didn't want this any chance of getting loose. This one I'll probably like take on or take off as I need, so it doesn't kind of interfere with the lap belt. And now for the buckle of the lap belt, I have this piece here that I got from eBay. This looks exactly like this, but it's just a bit shorter. This one's 14 inches from here to here, or almost actually 15 inches. And this one is 12. So this is the one that I had on the black seat. It worked, but it was a little bit too long. So, you know, imagine this being too long, so it would kind of tend to ride up a little bit. And this is not 100% ideal the way you have it, but there's really not enough room here, even with this ring bolt. This is gonna be super, super pinched up against the tunnel. So if I put it on the outside of here, then, you know, it kind of runs into this bolt over here, and then this pushes this out. So, you know, this is nicely round over, so I don't think that it's going to be an issue over time, okay? And then when I'm not using the harness, I'm just gonna leave this down here out of the hole, and then when I go use the the harness, I'm not using the 3-point. Sorry, when I'm using the 3-point, I'll leave this on the back over here. Okay, and when I'm using the harness, I'm gonna see if I can actually slide this through here. Leave this back here, and then slide these guys up there. So we'll see how that all works. So let me put all this back in there, and I'll show you guys in the car, and then I'll show you how this part will go with the lap belt. So much for lightweight 18s. So I definitely didn't plan this video as a Corvette seat mount or seat base comparison, but you guys know how it is, how it goes sometimes with vehicle modifications. You know, sometimes things just don't work out. At least I'm glad that I had the option of just going back. You know, I almost sold the whole AMT setup, you know, because I was like, yeah, I just want the sliders, you know. So it is what it is. I went back to the system that I had. It is a pain in the ass to get out, but at least with the AMT mount, it is so low that it makes it a bit easier to get in and out compared to the planted seat base. Even though with the planted seat base, you could push it all the way back. It was just, you know, really, really high, you know. So, and also the seating position was kind of weird. Even for me that I'm not that tall, at 5'9", I was kind of not quite looking at this, but you know, my forehead was definitely at that level. So definitely kind of like a weird thing. So anyways, at the end of the day, it worked out. The seat looks great. The car's all ready. I got my brakes done. I got my stage 3 canards on. I did my oil change. I checked over the whole car, and I'm glad I did, because in the transmission, I have the exhaust around the transmission wrapped, and my exhaust for some reason had like come loose, both of them, and the backside of the exhaust was just banging against the rear subframe. On the next video with the Corvette, we're gonna be at Road Atlanta. Hopefully we get some good footage of that. So stay tuned for that, guys. I'll catch you on that one. Peace.